Oh man, I'm definitely going to regret making this video, but you guys asked for it, so here we go. What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and today I'm going to be trying to answer the question of whether or not the Xbox One has officially failed. Now, this is currently a very interesting time period because we're definitely coming up on the beginning of the next console generation. It is right now 2019, and we're seeing a lot of rumors and speculation that in the course of the next few months, we're going to in fact be seeing the PlayStation 5 and Xbox 2 shown off. Now, what does this mean? Well, it's a time of celebration and speculation. Many of us are beginning to be curious about what these new consoles will be, what the games will look like, and what they'll do that's actually different. But you can see that something very different is also happening, which is people are beginning to look back and see how the current generation played out. If this is the very end, we want to see who won, who lost, and what the raw numbers turned out to be. Now, in this, there are three different things I want to try and cover. The raw sales numbers of each of the main consoles, the exclusives of Xbox and how they performed, and their plans for the future, because each of these are very, very important in measuring the success of the Xbox One. So to start with, let's look at sales numbers, because this is the one area that's definitely the hardest to try and really discern the success of Microsoft. In the console war right now, everybody is pretty transparent as to how much they're actually selling. Nintendo constantly brags about the fact that they are nearing 30 million units sold, and right now Sony is actually screaming from the rooftops that just recently the PlayStation 4 passed 91 million units sold, and a lot of their exclusives are flying off store shelves. I mean, just Spider-Man, their newest exclusive, has already sold over 9 million units. Whereas Microsoft, they're strangely silent. This generation, they adopted a very different strategy, which is instead of talking about raw sales numbers or concurrent players, they like to try and give us more amazed numbers, more vague, more amorphous. And I think that this strategy has actually blown up in their faces instead of paying off. Even still, some very clever detectives have managed to do some digging and track the amount of units of Xbox Ones that have been shipped to stores, and stuff like being able to sort of track down the amount of reorders they're doing. Now what this is basically trying to measure exactly how many of the consoles are selling rather than just sitting in a warehouse. And it seems like that number is somewhere around 34 million. 34 million is definitely way, way behind the competition, but not exactly a complete flop. Now, 34 million is a very interesting number because it's actually quite large. It's not as much as previous generations, but it's definitely something that they could definitely turn a profit as long as people are constantly spending cash to play stuff on the Xbox One. And it's here that I think that there is a pretty big issue because we still don't know how exactly well games are selling on the Xbox. And I think that part of it is because there's this new grand experiment, this theoretical test being run by Microsoft, which is called Games Pass. Now, I've talked about this previously because I think that it is a very interesting experiment, but one that I'm very, very worried about personally. The idea behind Game Pass is instead of just buying games up front, you pay a monthly fee to play all sorts of games, some of them even being rather new. And here's the thing, they still won't talk about how many people have actually subscribed to the service. Microsoft likes to say things like, people who own Games Pass play 20% more every month. What does that mean? Does that mean that people who own an Xbox One and a PlayStation 4 are spending more hours on these free games, or what? We still don't know exactly what this means, but even still, 34 million units is a respectable number. It is far behind the competition, but it's enough that if they played their cards right, is certainly going to be turning a profit. But this does move me on to part 2, which is the games themselves. Exclusives are a very important part of any console generation, and I don't care what anybody says. recently there's been this big movement online that's very baffling to me personally, which is people claiming that exclusives don't matter. I mean, people are genuinely saying that people just buy whatever console they want to play third-party games, that they actually have no emotional connection whatsoever to exclusives, which is kind of funny to me since there's a lot of data that completely contradicts that. I mean, you can just look at the fact that, look at the way people actually ran out and bought Xbox Ones whenever they were about to launch Titanfall 2, or even in this console generation, the way people actually ran out and bought the Uncharted PS4 bundle because they suddenly wanted to jump on the generation to see the end of the Nathan Drake storyline. We know for a fact that good exclusives sell consoles. And unfortunately, in all of 2018, we now know for a fact that not a single Xbox One game reviewed overwhelmingly positive. Not a single one. Metacritic themselves actually released a report displaying the fact that things like Sea of Thieves, State of Decay 2, or even smaller projects just did not manage to ever clear the passing bar. And that is something that very, very much hurt them. Now, even if you absolutely love those games, I'm not going to actually crap on you. I'm saying that if you love those games, you rock. I mean, I actually very much admire the people who have spent hundreds of hours playing Sea of Thieves, or going back through the Master Chief Collection and enjoying all the big update patches. I'm just saying that scientifically on paper, the fact that none of their games managed to get a 90 or 100 on Metacritic is a bad sign. You need big games. You need to be able to brag in this business. And personally, I'm a little bit nervous because their speculated outline for 2019 is incredibly flat as well. We are getting things like Ori and the Will of the Wisps and Crackdown 3, but are those going to be enough? Are those going to be the big, well-reviewed games that we absolutely need in order for them to play catch-up? I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing of all, and moves me on to point 3 here, which is that what are they going to do in the future? At this point, it is going to be dang near impossible for the Xbox One to really come even close to catching up to the competition. It's kind of impossible at this point simply because they don't have any last-minute bangs in the bag. They don't have anything there to wow us, to surprise us, and really, they don't have anything out there that's going to impress us. I think that, in a way, Microsoft has realized that this generation is going to be a flop, the same way that the Wii U was a colossal failure for Nintendo. And they realized that the only way they're going to actually win the next generation is to stop. They're hitting the brakes on purpose to completely restructure their focus and instead just build up all their hype for the next generation. It worked with the Switch. Obviously, that thing managed to explode, and I think that it could be a gamble that pays off for the Xbox too. But still, it's hard to know whether or not this is going to work right now with our boots on the ground. I think the most baffling part of all this, though, is the fact that a lot of these super hardcore Xbox gamers are claiming that they have actually won. A lot of people out there are saying that the Xbox One is actually the biggest console on the market and has the most loving fan base, and it's a little bit bizarre. I mean, there are seriously people who spend all day right now on the internet yelling about the glory of the Xbox One. So I actually managed to find one of them. I can't even remember what his name was, but I decided to send him a message and just let him tell me his piece about why it is exactly that people just love to yell about the Xbox One, despite the fact that it probably needs some constructive criticism. Okay, take it away.
Well, hello there. I am the gaming professor, the world's smartest gamer, and today I'm going to be coming on here to explain to you why exactly the Xbox One is in fact the greatest console ever created. Now, you may be wondering why I'm sitting here in my mom's closet playing a Rubik's Cube, but it's because there's just so many good Xbox One games that I figured I should take a break and sit in my mom's closet. But you see, there is something spectacular about the Xbox One. It's not the games, because they don't really have any exclusives, but it's the graphics. All that matters is the Xbox One X. Third-party games can look absolutely marvelous in true 4K. Well, I mean, I guess it's not really true 4K. But you know what? True 4K sounds great, so I'm glad that they decided to print it on the box. All that really matters when it comes down to arguing about the Xbox One versus the PlayStation 4 is that we have, Halo. And we'll probably get several more Halos on the next Xbox. I'm still going to defend it endlessly because, quite frankly, it's all my mom will buy me. And that's fine. I mean, if all you own is an Xbox, you can still have fun. I mean, look at me. I'm having fun right now. Okay, cut the camera. End of the interview.
Well, that was probably not a good idea, but yeah, so that's the opinion of somebody who's a little bit of a blind Xbox fanboy. But even still, I guess my final thoughts on this are that everybody is going to love what they love. The Switch, the Xbox, or the PlayStation, there's a lot to play, there's a lot to enjoy, and there's a lot to really get into. But now the final curtain is about to close. Do I think that Microsoft failed? To be quite honest, yes. I think that they are by far behind everybody else. But that doesn't mean that they suck. I still think that the Xbox One is something that I'm glad I own a couple of. I actually own multiple Xbox Ones and play them quite a bit. Even though it doesn't have anything to truly wow me, I'm happy that I have it. And still, I'm very, very excited for what Microsoft might be pulling out of the bag for the next generation. But what do you guys think? Are you somebody who actually believes, like me, that the Xbox One is a failure, or are you on the fence? Because the thing hasn't fully died yet. I mean, really, tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. Oh man, I'm sure this is going to be a total dumpster fire, but hey, do me a favor, give this video a like, because I'm sure the Xbox fanboys are going to be mad as hell. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, you know, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.